Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be a different one. Today's video is all about book. Okay, so I recently posted on my community about a book, The Whisper Man by Alex North, and I just finished that book. I thought about making a book review of that. It's an amazing book. I have it here right now. As you can see, it's an amazing book. So emotional, full of mystery, full of excitement and all. It's a full packed novel, okay, a fiction novel if you say more clearly. So we are going to review it today. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I'm going to give you why you should even read this book, how it's the writing style, and also going to give you some glimpse of the initial chapters. I'll read it out to you so that you can understand how well the writer has portrayed the scenes. Right, so first of all, I wasn't in a mood of buying this book, but I thought that I was searching for a crime thriller because earlier I read Chris Carter's collection of books, the Robert Hunter detective stories. I have also read Riley Sager's book, but I was searching similar to it, okay, but a different writer. So I found out this book, The Whisper Man, and the reviews were also really good. It's a crime thriller book with kind of emotion and all. The characters are strong. So what happened is simply this is a story of a father and his child, and there is also another character which is called Peter, Inspector Peter, okay, and this is about Tom is the father and his child Jake. Okay, so what happened is that one day Tom finds out that his wife is no more. She's dead. They were completely devastated by the death of his wife. Jake, the small child who was actually adopted, was also devastated because his mother is no more. With this baggage of grief, they moved to a different town called Featherbanks. So Featherbanks is a different town from where they used to live. So Featherbank is a mysterious town. Featherbank is famous for children's getting disappeared. So there was a serial killer of some kind called Francis Carter. So he used to abduct child in the village of Featherbanks, and Jake and his dad Tom didn't knew that. So they bought a house in Featherbanks in order to start a new life. They were excited, but their excitement was short-lived because they started experiencing really peculiar hauntings of what famously people called as the Whisper Man. People think that children are getting disappeared or abducted by the Whisper Man. So they started hearing whispers. Jake, the small child, starts to hear whispers in beside his window, and he was absolutely frightened. And his father Jake, he even didn't knew what to do and what's happening. Meanwhile, there is also another child called Neil Spencer who disappears, and Detective Peter searches for him all around the town. So it's a complete story of finding a serial killer and how suddenly things turn to south and what actually could go wrong. Coming to the writing style, the writing style is absolutely flawless. I have been reading this book. I never felt bored, okay, because the writing style is so smooth and there is no fuss in the story. There is no words that you can't understand. It's blissfully written. I'm reading it out to you. The initial line of the first chapter: Jake, there is so much I want to tell you, but we have always found it hard to talk to each other, haven't we? So I'll have to write to you instead. I remember when Rebecca and I first brought you home from the hospital. It was dark and it was snowing, and I'd never driven so carefully in my life. You were 2 days old and strapped in a carrier beside the back seat, Rebecca dozing beside you, and every now and then I will look in the rearview mirror to check you were safe. Because you know what? Because you know what? I was absolutely fucking terrified. I grew up as an only child, completely unused to babies. And yet, there I was, responsible for my own one. You were so impossibly small and vulnerable, and me so unprepared, that it seemed ludicrous they would allow you out of the hospital with me. So this is the initial writing of this book, and it's blissfully written. Okay, trust me, guys. If you love thriller books, if you love detective kind of books, so you definitely must read this. It's a child abduction kind of book, but it's also emotionally driven. You will find connected to the characters of the story. You will not feel left out. And the one of my favorite character is obviously that little boy Jake, because he's the author portrayed that little child so beautifully that I just fallen for that character. So the question arises is, who is the Whisper Man and why he actually abducts child? So you will find the reason behind all of that. First you have to read that book, because fiction is something, I am started to read more fiction because it makes you feel that you're in a different world, and I just love that. Okay, so if you have any suggestions for me to read any new fiction that you want me to read, then please drop your comments below, and I will definitely answer to each one of you. I really appreciate if you have stick to the end of this video. I love you guys. Stay happy, stay healthy. Subscribe to this channel if you love similar contents that I make. Okay, I'll see you on the next one. Stay happy, stay healthy.